Good evening and welcome to Alan's Italy. Tonight we are going to be returning to Cinque Terre as we did during the last show, and we're going to focus on the town that Laura and I stayed in during our 3-day visit, the town of Monterosso al Mare. Now, because we have so much material during those 3 days that we stayed there, I decided that I wanted to separate the two shows, the show about Monterosso, into really two parts. One part will focus on what's called the Old Town, which was, literally the old part of the town. And the second part of the broadcast will be a future broadcast called Monterosso al Mare Part 2, the New Town. So tonight, we're going to be looking at the Old Town. And there it is, Alan's Italy, show number 103, Monterosso al Mare, Part 1, the Old Town. And, indicated on there is featuring the Hotel Villa Steno. And I'll be talking about that more in a few minutes. But right now, this is a photograph that we took of the town of Monterosso from the visit that we made in the year 2009. And, we spent 2 full days really on Cinque Terre visiting the various towns. And of course, one of the towns we visited was the town of Monterosso al Mare. And we visited the Old Town, and that's what you're looking at now. We also visited the New Town, and that's the part where there's a really extensive beach that we'll take a look at more extensively next time. That's me sitting on a bench. Remember that this was early January, and it was very, very cold there. And you could see that I'm quite bundled up. And you also will notice that there's nobody else on that walkway. And when we went back, of course, in May, which was a really beautiful time, that area is really, really very congested with tourists going just about everywhere. That's what the beach looked like in January, and it looks vastly different, of course, when the weather gets nice and there's umbrellas and people lounging around by the beach. And there's the town of Monterosso, is taken from one of the boats that you saw if you watched show number 102. And again, let's talk about where Cinque Terre is. Cinque Terre is right up here in this fold. This is the Ligurian Sea. This is the area known as the Italian Riviera. There's Genoa. And Monterosso al Mare would be right over here in this area known as Cinque Terre. And, this is the way we arrived. We arrived at the Milan Malpensa Airport, which is, let me go back just a little bit. Here's Milan up here. The airport is right out here. And there are really only two ways of getting to Monterosso. One of them was to take a bus or a taxi or a train back from the airport into Milan, then take a train to Genoa, switch trains, and come down here along the coast and go to the town of Monterosso. And that was one possibility. The other possibility, which of course is much easier in many ways, is to just rent a car at the airport and immediately begin driving down here, pretty much the same way to, by way of Genoa and then down to Monterosso al Mare. So we figured that the train ride would be very, very difficult, considering it would be a couple of connections and we'd have to take the bus into town, and it would take very, very long time. So we bravely decided that we were going to drive from the airport to Monterosso. And basically we came down here. You can't see it, but we would come down here and take the autostrada, which you could see right along here, and get off the autostrada, come down just very, very near to the town of Levanto, and then kind of turn south and come down here to Monterosso al Mare. So that's what we decided to do. And, of course, here's one way of getting there, and that's by train. I'll talk about that a little more later. Or you could get to a place like, Genoa perhaps, or Levanto, and take a ferry to Monterosso. But this is the way we decided to go. And that's a picture of me, photo of me, taken when I just entered the car. I have a smile on my face because I haven't yet driven. And on my lap, if you look very carefully, you can see that in my right hand, I'm holding the GPS that I was intending to use, but I was also holding the instructions on how to get to the town that was sent to me by the hotel owner, whom I'll talk about in just a few minutes. And I was trying to debate whether to use the GPS or the instructions, which I then decided to use the instructions. And, off we went along the autostrada. Now, driving along the autostrada, along the Ligurian coast. Well, actually, this is probably getting to the Ligurian coast. So this is the beginning of the autostrada from Milan until you get to that point. And, it's very easy driving, really. It's a beautiful 4-lane highway, and there's rest areas along the way. And, it's a very nice trip. You see some mountains along the way, and there's trucks on the road, so it's not the most beautiful ride you could possibly take. And, you come across some industrial areas, as you could see over there, which is not the most beautiful. But eventually you do get to a really beautiful area of Italy. And, little by little, you pass some really charming towns, and you go through some really interesting tunnels. This, we're going very fast, so the picture is a little strange, but you could see that that's what it looks going through the tunnel. Coming out of the tunnel, at that point, still on the autostrada. And that's me as I exit the autostrada. You can see that I have a totally different look on my face than I did earlier. That's me as I'm about to, embark on the side winding roads of Italy. And these are the roads that I'm going to be taking. You could see the terrain. It's absolutely beautiful. But, for somebody who does not like driving, this is not one of the most wonderful things to look forward to. But you do pass some really beautiful views. You know, you pass the Mediterranean Sea along the way. That's what you see right there. And you come through some, you know, this is a local road. And, you know, I love riding through these local towns, and they're really beautiful, as you could see. You know, we're still on kind of like, it's not, you know, it's not the autostrada, but it is a main road with some very, very beautiful views. And this is the point where we get very close to the sea, and that's the Mediterranean over there in the distance. And one of the towns you pass is the town of Levanto. That's the town right there. And we continued, and this is the part of the road that's probably the most difficult to negotiate. This is a picture I took off the internet, which shows you the town of Monterosso as it's nestled within the mountains. And this is the road, of course, that, you know, the route that I will be taking through these mountains, coming down this way, right into the town. You can see that that's really a really stunning town. And that's the part of the town that we were going to be staying in, the old town, which I'll show you much more detail of in the future. But here's a map of the town of Monterosso al Mare. Now, we are coming down this route via Roma. The hotel we stayed in is right up here as you enter the town, very high up above. We'll talk about that a little more in just a few moments. But, you know, this part of the town is called the Old Town. And, you know, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. You know, the town of Monterosso has pretty much the same kind of history as the rest of Cinque Terre. You know, during the 11th century, it was in danger of being ransacked by pirates. And there was a decline in the population of the town, which then increased in 1870 when a rail line was built from Genoa right along the coast of Cinque Terre. During World War II, many of the young men fought for the resistance against, you know, fascist Italy. The town is cultivated with vines and olive trees, and there is you know, a very famous tower that we'll take a look at. And, you know, it's also noted for its lemon trees, which we'll also look at in a little while. So this is the old town, and to get from the old town to the new town, there's a tunnel right here. You could either take the tunnel, or you could take the walkway, which comes around like this, and you wind up on the beach that you saw earlier in the area known as the new town, or the part of the town known as Fegina. And we'll talk about that a little more really during the next show. Now, that's the hotel that we stayed in, the Hotel Villa Steno. And let me tell you a little bit about my philosophy of hotels. When we stay in Italy, you know, we're 4,000 miles from home, and one of the most important things for us is to stay in a town that's really, you know, warm and charming and welcoming, and we look for a hotel which really exudes those qualities. So I began to look for a hotel, and one of the really important things we wanted to do was to stay in a hotel along the beach. But when I did research, and I did research on the website TripAdvisor, they highlighted a hotel by the name of the Hotel Villa Steno. And you could see right over here that it's rated the #1 hotel out of 20 hotels in Monterosso. And, you know, 793 people have reviewed the hotel, and it gets a really outstanding set of reviews. You can see that it gets 5 stars, which means that basically everybody who reviewed the hotel thought it was wonderful. So Laura and I made the decision that rather than staying along the beach, we would stay in the Hotel Villa Steno. And that's what the first part of the show is going to be about. So, there's the hotel. Excuse me one second. Okay, there's the hotel, perched very, very high above the town. And that's one of the reasons that we were a little reluctant to stay in this hotel because we wanted to stay, further down. But we decided to stay in this hotel. It was in a beautiful location, and we drove to the location. But you could also, of course, take a taxi. And this is what a picture of the entrance to the hotel. So we drove up, um, from uh, the autostrada to the local roads, and then right up this path and pulled over to where those other cars were located. But, you could also come into town by way of the train, and then in order to get to the hotel, you have to walk up these steps. And that is indeed a very daunting thing. And people who have a difficult time walking up steps, of course, should not do this. They should either come by taxi, which is, we did that a couple of times, or by car as we came originally. And these are, the steps that you would walk up to get to the hotel. Now, the advantage of taking this route up to the hotel is that you pass some really remarkable sites. And these are some of the sites that you would pass as you walk up through that path. And, that's what it looks like. And this picture was actually taken from the hotel looking down at the pathway, at these steps that you would take to get up to the hotel. And you could see that it's really, really very beautiful. And this is the actual path that you would take. And there's the hotel in the distance. And as you get closer and closer, you have this really, wonderful feeling of anticipation, knowing that you're coming to this hotel. And you could see how beautiful the gardens are. And there are the very famous lemon trees. And there's, a flower that we passed along the way. And there are orange trees along the path as well. And eventually you do wind up in the lobby of the Hotel Villa Steno. And that's me checking in, and that's the owner of the hotel, Matteo Pasini. And the first part of the two videos that we have is the video of us coming to our hotel room and the view that we had from our balcony. And this was given to us by the owner of the hotel, Matteo. And no sound on this, Ellen, but I'm going to narrate this. So when you're ready. Okay? Okay, so here we go.
You can
We're coming
narrate.
into the hotel room.
This is our room.
Whoops. Kill the sound.
This is the door.
That's what I would have said anyway, however. So indeed, that was our room. Now we come out to the balcony, and you could see that there's two lounge chairs and this beautiful terrace area with a table with chairs set up. And this is the view that we had from our balcony looking out at the Mediterranean Sea. And this is the view looking back towards the old town, and then, again, looking at the sea. And there were, times when we just simply came out there just to look at this beautiful view. One time we even had a meal out there, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But this is the view we had from the balcony of the hotel. So this is what you get. I don't know what some of the other views were like, but this is certainly the view that Matteo gave us, and it was really remarkable. And this is the view, looking the other way towards the old town and towards the town, the houses that are perched into the side of the mountain. So you can see that this is really very, very charming. And, they had a sun deck, a really beautiful sun deck with these chairs, beautiful lounge chairs, overlooking that view that I showed you earlier. And I believe that's me over there lying on that chair in the distance. And these are some more views that you get from the hotel. This is an even better view. And, from the lounge chair, this is what you're looking at. You're looking at the mountains with the town in the foreground. Again, another view of the sea. And they had a breakfast room, and this was, the setup that we had each morning. To me, this is one. I love these breakfasts. You're not going to have pancakes and French toast and what else you might get in an American restaurant. But you get, this is wonderful. You get, some marmalade, and there's some toast and jam and different types of cereal, and some cold cuts you could see there under the glass. And this is, to me, a wonderful, wonderful breakfast. If you sat outside, these are the tables that part of the view that you would have if you want to look back at the old town. But this is where we sat. We sat at that table right there in the front, with the view of the sea in the background. So this is quite a wonderful place to have a nice breakfast. And we did that once, and we ate inside one or two times. So that's what we had. And this is Matteo Pasini, and he was a wonderful man. And I knew that he was going to be a great person when I was exchanging emails with him during the time that we were making the decision. And then we made the decision, and then I needed some information about how to get to the hotel and so on. And I just knew that this was going to be a really wonderful experience. And he granted us the privilege of an interview. And this is the interview. And this we'll use sound for, Ellen. So come back with the sound and let me know when you're ready. Okay, here we go. So this is the town of Monterosso al Mare. And we are taking this picture from the Hotel Villa Steno. And we are coming in the main entrance of the hotel. And into the front lobby and to the front desk. And here is Matteo, the owner of the hotel. Matteo, welcome to Alan's Italy.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on our show, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
So we would just like to ask you a few questions.
Yes.
We'd like to start by asking you how long you have been the owner of the hotel.
I'm managing the hotel now. It's 20 years, and owning 7.
Was the hotel in your family?
Yes, my parents bought it 20 years ago, and then they retired and they started.
And who owned the hotel before?
A family from La Spezia, they built it, they started to manage, they managed it for 20 years, more or less, and then they decided to sold it to my parents.
Now, how long has it actually been a hotel?
This building has always been a hotel. They built it as a hotel and remained a hotel until now. Yes.
And how far back does that go? Does that go into the early
It's a new building, so they built it in 1972, I think was the first season open, and then they continued they managed it for 20 years, and then again for us, for me, it's 20 years.
Okay. Now, did you actually grow up in Monterosso?
Monterosso, yes.
So your family has your family been in the town for a long time?
Yes. They, my grandparents, they started with Albergo Pasquale right after the end of World War II. They had a little bar there, then they made it bigger, became a restaurant, then they built the hotel, and my parents managed it for many years, then they could buy this one, and now my brother with my parents are managing the Hotel Pasquale, and I manage Hotel Villa Steno with my wife.
Oh, so the Hotel Pasquale and this hotel kind of are
Yes.
in the family. And that hotel is actually on the beach.
Yes, very
Yeah, this
central, located right in front of the beach.
Right. Uh-huh. And this hotel has a very, very good reputation.
Ah, good.
In
Yeah.
fact, when I selected the hotel that we wanted to stay here, I go to a site called TripAdvisor.
Ah, okay,
And this hotel is rated the #1 hotel in TripAdvisor.
okay.
And everybody says that it's just wonderfully managed and they love you and your wife, Carla.
Okay.
She's not here right now. And that the facilities are beautiful and the views are beautiful. So do you take like special pride in?
Yes, we are happy to do that. We are trying to do our best in our job. We like to guests are satisfied when they leave the hotel. So we try to do all the best to satisfy the guests. So, and then every year we try always to improve something. I mean, in the
Right.
breakfast or in the room, or try always to give a little bit more to welcome our guests and make them happy when they leave.
Right. Now, one of the things that has always interested me, and this may not be a really nice time in the history of Cinque Terre and of course Monterosso in particular, was the terrible storm that you had. I think it was in October of 2011, was that correct?
The 25th of October 2011.
Okay, so how did that affect the hotel?
Our hotel was not very affected. We had some problems when it was raining. We had water inside the hotel, but luckily breaking a wall could go out. And then we had problems in our garden because here we have a lot of walls. Many walls went down. Water was here inside, also from the roof, dropping down.
So
into
was the
hotel.
water coming from the
No,
mountain?
this mountain was safe. The water came from two valleys here close, and the worst damages were on the main street,
Right.
Via Roma. So, because there are actually also three little river, they were all together going down in Via Roma, and they brought a lot of mold and
Right.
stones and everything. So, the day after on Via Roma, we were walking at the same level of the first floor of every house. So, we had 3-4 meters of molten ground on the main street. And all the ground floor were underground. So banks, post office were completely destroyed, but they were underground too. So you
I
couldn't
see.
even see the little bit, the writing saying post office, but it was very bad.
So the water actually came down the mountain as opposed to, how about water from the sea coming the other way? Was that also a
See,
problem?
it was also this a bit of a problem because for few hours the sea was rough and the water was not going quickly down to the water. But in any case, it was too much water coming down.
Too much
So
water.
even if the sea was,
And how long did it take before the city became, the town became what it really is?
but the night before we had a lot of rain. And then right after, the day after starts to rain around 10 o'clock, and for 4 hours, we had 4 hours of heavy rain, and then became all that. So,
Right.
and then we could make, the town, everybody worked hard, everybody in town worked hard. Many people came from all over Italy to help, a lot of young people from, many people from everywhere. So we had many Americans sent a lot of money, so they donate a lot of money. We received donations from everywhere, so we can only say thank you to everybody in the world, because we really received a lot of help. And plus here in town everybody worked hard, and we had new the town was in good shape after for Easter, so it was end of October, so November, December, January, February, March, April. So
Right.
more or less 6 months.
Now, so you have a beautiful hotel.
Bene.
What can you do to make it even better? Anything? You have anything in mind that you'd like to do in the future?
Here we are in a national park, so we are in everything you want to build new is restricted, so you cannot build something new, more rooms or a big swimming pool. It's difficult.
Right.
Very And also we don't like, I mean, we like to be a 3 stars hotel, permis di run. We will improve for sure. Maybe in the future we will build an elevator because our hotel has no elevator. And maybe we will make something, but we also like to stay the way we are. I mean, we have a nice room with nice balcony, good, beautiful view, family atmosphere. We like to welcome people, so.
I have a question.
Laura.
What do you do with all your lemons?
Lemons
olives.
are beautiful, but it's also a problem. I mean, we make, first of all, the lemon marmalade we serve for breakfast. We sell it if guests want to buy it. We make lemon cake. My wife makes the marmalade and the lemon cake. My father also make lemon liquors. But we try also to sell it some lemons. My father with my brother have a restaurant at San Pasquale. When they have tours, he try to do a little small market selling lemons. But it's difficult because we have more than 90 trees, 90 plants of lemons, and the plant of lemon can give you in a year more than 100 kilos of lemons. So it's a lot.
Wow, they're beautiful.
It's beautiful, especially in this season, in May, because May, June, they have flowers and you have a great smell, beautiful smell, very nice.
Okay. Matteo, thank you very
Grazie.
much for your time.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so that was the wonderful interview that we did with Matteo Pasini, who obviously runs a magnificent hotel, and he has a lot of pride in that. We also met his wife Carla and several other people who worked there, and everybody was wonderful. Now, one night, you're seeing a picture. You might be seeing a picture of a delicious-looking pizza. I'm having a hard time looking at that, but this is what happened. We came home one afternoon from sightseeing, and we were exhausted. We just didn't not feel like going out for dinner. And we called the front desk and we said, "Is there a restaurant in town that delivers food?" And they said, "Well, not no, but tell us what you want, and we will go out and bring you back the food." So we said, "Okay, we'd like pizza from a particular place that we had had pizza a couple of days earlier." So we said, "This is what we would like." And, within about a half hour, this particular pizza and the one that I'm going to show you right after this one was also delivered. And Laura and I brought out the pizzas onto the balcony. And, the balcony I showed you earlier. And we had this incredible dinner overlooking that beautiful view with this delicious pizza. So, this hotel will do anything to accommodate the feelings and the tastes and the desires and needs of their guests. So this is truly, and in every sense of the word, the #1 hotel in Monterosso al Mare. Now, it gets even better than that, to tell you the truth, because then this is a picture that was taken of me the day we were leaving. And the day we were leaving, I didn't sleep the night before because I had on my mind the fact that we had to now take the drive from Monterosso back, in the direction of Levanto, back up to the Autostrada, and I was nervous about that because it was a very difficult drive getting there. It was, hairpin turns and, and blind curves and very narrow roads with no guardrails and very dangerous, and people came around the curves very quickly. So I was sitting there, and Matteo came over to me, to say goodbye, and I said, I didn't sleep last night. And he said, why, what happened? And I said, well, I was worried about the drive back up to the autostrada. He said, don't worry about it, I will drive you. And, he went off for a few minutes because he was trying to find somebody who could, follow, because he would be driving my car and therefore would have to get back from the autostrada to back to town. So he was trying to find somebody who could follow us and then drive him back. And he came over and said, I'm still looking. And I said, no, don't even bother. Call a taxi, have the taxi meet you at the autostrada, and I, of course, will give you the money for the taxi to get you back into town. But if you would do this for me, this would be the most wonderful thing. And he did indeed. We all got into the car, and he drove right back to the autostrada. We pulled over. He got out. I continued on to our next destination, which was Tuscany, and we bid farewell to Matteo, waiting there for the taxi to arrive. So this is a person who will do anything to make your stay really wonderful. So, the town is magnificent, the hotel is magnificent and beautiful, and, Matteo himself is just a wonderful, wonderful person. And now I would like to tell, there he is right there. And of course, Alan's Italy thanks Matteo Pasini for his wonderful interview, and of course, most of all, for his wonderful Hotel Villa Steno. And now I'd like to show you a little bit about the town, because, we didn't spend all of our time in the hotel. We came down into the town, and this is what the town looks like. It's a really, really charming hotel. This was a restaurant that we went to that they recommended. They recommend, the best restaurants in town as well. So this is the restaurant that we had lunch. Actually, we ate outside. That's a picture of me sitting at the at the table outside, and I look very relaxed there because, of course, I don't have to drive. But this is what the restaurant looks like. Right outdoors. Beautiful weather. The name of the restaurant was the Ristorante Al Pozzo, and it's located right in the old town. These were two of the dishes we had. This is linguine with clams that was absolutely unbelievable. And this was a very simple, but something that I really love and is my favorite thing. This was simply a spaghetti with meat sauce, which was absolutely wonderful. And these are the two dishes we had, at the table with some wine. And then we walked around the town. And this next segment of the show will illustrate to you how really beautiful this town is. And, it's a very unhurried town. You can see there are benches along the side. This is more down towards where the bay is. So this is the piazza right next to where the water is located. And that's a view. Again, they have these lovely benches. And that's what it looks like, sitting on a bench, whiling away your time, looking at the Ligurian Sea. There's, a view looking slightly further to the south. This is, the beach, but further up where the boats are. And I showed you this because this is the photo I showed the last show I did on Cinque Terre. This is what it looked like after that terrible storm that Matteo spoke about. And this is almost the exact same spot as it looks now. So, obviously, they've, cleaned up the town. The town is now beautiful again. And another view of the beach. This is all part of the old town. And now we're going to stroll around the town. And again, it's a workaday town with laundry hanging from the balcony there, with little shops all over and outdoor cafes, and beautiful arches and stairways leading all over the town. Again, benches for people to sit and just relax. We took a photo of this particular restaurant because it's called the Trattoria Oscar, and we thought that was cute because one of our grandchildren's name is Oscar, so we took that photo. And these are what the houses look like. That's the Duomo, which is the church of San Giovanni Battista, which is in the Gothic style from the 13th century. And they have these very, very narrow streets, which are called Carugi. The narrow streets in the town of Varenna that I spoke about a couple of shows ago were called Contrade. These streets are called Carugi, and there are, of course, multicolored terraced houses. I just love walking down these, side streets. Not only because they're charming, but because you just don't know what's around the curve and what's coming up soon in the distance. We're back on the main street now, looking at another outdoor restaurant. And people are just kind of walking around. It wasn't that crowded. There's a bench over there on the side underneath that tree, and bench on the right with the, to me, this is just heaven, just going to one of these towns and just walking around the streets. There's a couple of more outdoor restaurants. Modern sculpture, which I shouldn't say modern, I should say contemporary sculpture, which you find everywhere in Italy. And this is not a town, known for its art, but this, we just found this outside in the streets. There's a bicycle over there on the right with a bench over there on the left, and, just a beautiful town. One of the main squares. Going down towards the beach. What you see over there on the left side on the floor is a giant checkerboard where they, obviously have, checkers and chess being played. And again, a view of the sea as it's getting darker. And again, back to the wonderful Hotel Villa Steno. However, if I ever go back to this hotel, this is the way I'm going to be arriving. On a train, because I will not drive there anymore. But it's such a wonderful town and it's such a wonderful hotel that what I will do, and this is good advice for people who don't intend to drive to the hotel, is to just take the train, which is wonderfully comfortable, get off at Monterosso, and a taxi, relatively inexpensive, will take you from the train station right up to the front door of the hotel. So that's how we intend to do it the next time we go. And that brings us to the end of the show. And next on Alan's Italy will be another look at the town of Monterosso al Mare, part 2, this time looking at the new town, which is the part of the town where the beach is located. And in that future show, we will have another interview with, this time, an owner of a bar. We went to this bar for a couple of Proseccos, or I'm not sure what we had there, but some relaxing drink. And we met the owner of the bar, who then sat down with us and gave us a really marvelous interview. So that'll be the highlight of that show coming up. And that's tonight's show. So I hope you enjoyed that view of Monterosso al Mare with the Hotel Villa Steno. And buonanotte e buona fortuna.
Thank you.